Everybody's heard about the bird, but bird's the word. Are the opening lyrics of Surfin Bird a top 10 hit by the Trashmen, a surf rock band out of Minneapolis? But why does Minnesota even have surf rock? And why did the state's next great surf rock band come from the Iron Range? Welcome to Minnesota Historia. I'm Haley, your guide to surf rock on the Iron Range. This is Virginia, Minnesota, the second largest city on Minnesota's historic Iron Range. It's known for iron mining, sawmilling, and the world's largest floating loon. But the one thing Virginia, Minnesota is most definitely not known for is surfing. It's 1,000 miles to the nearest ocean, 60 miles to the nearest large body of water. And yes, Lake Superior does have some monster waves. But northern Minnesota surfers are an unconventional group of athletes, to say the least. So how did the Vaqueros from this quirky little town on the Iron Range churn out a boss surf rock single like 80-Foot Wave? We went to Rick Olson for the answer. He's a collector of many things: monsters, dinosaurs, and the music of an adolescence spent on the Iron Range.
Well, what I have is a nice little rhythm tote for carrying the records. But anyways, inside this record case are all records from the Iron Range.
Growing up on the range, Rick knew all about the Vaqueros and the Electras and the Renowns.
And Little John and the Sherwood Men were out of Hibbing.
Because he was involved in the local music scene in a very unusual way.
So my family owned a gas station. They started in Virginia in 1950. It was Dick's Conoco Service. We had local trailer rental in Virginia. Nobody else did that. We got a lot of business from local bands that way. There were a lot of bands. Every community had a lot of bands. That was a 4x7, 4 feet by 7 feet long. This would have been rented by the bands, garage bands, if they needed a trailer for the big amplifiers and everything and the drum kits and that. Well, that's a little big. Let's say that's a stand-up bass. Bands used them. So it was really easy to come to a local rental place and rent a trailer. But that's just a model of it.
And that's how young Rick helped local bands like the Small Society and Tomorrow's Children. Honestly, I could drop these wild Iron Range band names all day, but we are here to talk about the Vaqueros. The band began when drummer Rudy Spoler Jr. met guitarist Terry Schmidt in 1962. Pete DeYoung, Linda Anderson, and Dean Frazee filled out the roster. Rudy and Terry loved surf rock. It was an exciting new kind of instrumental music from bands like Dick Dale, The Ventures, and The Fireballs.
In fact, the name Vicaroes, I think they got that from the band The Fireballs. There was a song, Vaquero.
Vaquero is a Spanish word, of course, meaning cowboy or cattle driver. Fun cowboy fact, the word buckaroo is actually a mishearing of the word vaquero. Dick Dale developed the surf rock sound in Southern California by combining Mexican and Middle Eastern influences with tremolo picking and a twangy reverb. Soon, there were surf rock bands all over the country, including the Trashmen, who recorded their hit Surfin Bird at K-Bank Studios in Minneapolis, which is also where the Vaqueros recorded.
Now, not everybody cut a record, but Vaqueros cut a record.
It was called 80-Foot Wave. I don't have a rhythm tote. I don't have 80-Foot Wave either. That's a collector's item now. It's spendy.
I only have one of these. This is the record that we got from the Vaqueros when they came in to rent the trailer for whatever job they were doing that night. I think that Terry Schmidt mentioned that he had seen Muscle Beach Party with Annette Funicello and came up with that name.
At this point, I kind of just want to hear the song.
Are you ready?
Am I ready? Does the tide rip?
And so we will pull out the Vaqueros 80-Foot Wave. And so let's pretend that we're back then and we've got a 1956 record player and we can see if this will work. It's dying on me.
So is this episode.
It's 1956 and it's old. It's old like me. I was really hoping that this thing would
I am actually unsurprised to see that Rick owns multiple record players.
Let's see if it works. Yeah, okay. It's a good pattern. You know, it's a simple song. It's very simple. It's in the key of G.
I have to admit, that is a real slapperoni and cheese.
Very well written, something that would stay with you. You know, sometimes it doesn't have to be that complicated. 80-foot wave took off, so I happen to have an original WEBC from Duluth, and we can see right on here that 80-foot wave for the week ending November 28th, 1964, 80-foot wave by the Vaqueros. Last week it was at number 12. It's starting to fall now in 22.
Once upon a time, almost every radio station in America playing the top 40 songs had their own top 40.
And up the chart it went. So we see 80-foot wave on November 24th, 64. And this was Duluth, Minnesota, WBC.
So we've established that it's a banger. But why is it a banger?
I'm gonna show you what I mean with, I wanna just put this back on here. You'd think that you would start open in an E. You'd think you would start open in that, but he's in a G, so he's doing like this. He's going. Anyways, like I say, it's a fun song. It's just a really nice song. But the Vicaroes, what made the Vicaroes great? Well, I really think that Rudy Spoler Jr. was a hell of a good drummer. I can hear it on the records. I think he was very good.
But the band had one other secret weapon.
Rudy Spoler Sr. really promoted that band.
Rudy Sr. was a heavy equipment operator for the city of Virginia, but also a concert promoter. This Iron Range is such a land of contradictions.
He really wanted them to succeed and play with a lot of people like Del Shannon and Marquettes, and I'm trying to think of all the bands that came there. He was promoting and organizing these groups to come to Virginia.
Aw, he's like their biggest fan. The Vaqueros recorded 6 songs at K-Bank.
Boy, these records are scratchy.
And later released 2 more singles, which also did well.
Growing Pains. This is going to be Don't You Dare, and this was their last recording. This would have been late 66, November of 66, I think, is when they did this one.
Band members came and went, but drummer Rudy Spoler Jr. always stayed at the center of the Vaqueros.
And that's why it was over when he died, because he was the Vicaroes as far as I'm concerned.
This is the part of our goofy little history show that breaks my heart. Rudy went to college at Bemidji State University, where he lived in an off-campus dorm.
He had a loaded pistol, probably looking at it, playing with it.
There are different stories about what happened next, although every story agrees it was an accident.
Carelessness, inattentiveness, whatever, that's how fast it happens, and that's what happened with him.
It's a sad story, but it still makes me happy that even for a brief period of time, a solidly landlocked, blue-collar mining city like Virginia, Minnesota could produce a band that bing-bonged such a whipperino.
That's the beauty of having the vinyls, and for them to survive is a lot of these guys are long gone and the times were gone in that, but you can hear what they did, what their talent was, and that's valuable.
Thanks for watching Minnesota Historia, your guide to all things quirky in Minnesota history. Check out some of our other episodes where we go even further and deeper into the quirky, soft underbelly of this very weird state. Yum. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And please become a member of PBS North to support projects just like this.